one thing that stands out to me to most is Jane's character arc, because I don't want to dive too deep into this before. I feel like she went from a generic love interest to a truly heroic goddess.
Yes.
Even though I feel like she went to being a total badass like just a little too quickly, I at least like what they did. I feel like she got a major, major upgrade from the rest of the MCU, and how she goes out, how she basically, you know, sacrifices herself for the greater good. Again, that's what it means. That's what it means. That's what it means to be a truly, a true hero. You know, a true goddess. And again, you look at the gods too, right? Like they expect everyone, at least in this film, how it depicts in this film, they expect and only expect people to worship them. They don't expect, you know, to give anything in return. Like, you know, that's how she differentiates herself from, you know, the deities that are also worshipped in this film.
Yep. Yeah, and that's one of the things, again, for me, what I liked about Jane Foster Thor was I liked how she really, to me, she proved her worth at the end of it and not in the beginning. Yep. Like you really got to see that arc, and she showed why she was worthy, at least in my opinion, to hold the hammer of Thor. Now, how she got Thor, you know, I still firmly believe it was, you know, throughout the movie when you see it, Thor did something to make it so that Mjolnir would protect her, but
that's the only thing that makes sense. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because again, like, you know, you don't just go out of nowhere. Like, you know, like if you're sick or whatever, like, you know, you're this famous astrophysicist, but like, does that mean you're worthy of the powers of a god? And exactly. I agree. I feel like she earned that at the end. So I do think that makes sense in that she only was able to pick up the hammer because Thor basically said, please look out for her.
Exactly. So I really did like Jane Foster, her arc. Now, another issue, and now that we're talking about spoilers, I had was actually the Necrosword in the film. Because one thing I liked about it was that, to me, it was reminiscent of Excalibur, which I liked. But the second one was, I didn't fully know how it operated because I felt that how that sword got destroyed was too easy. And it just made me question as to, like, how do these weapons truly work if this is meant to be a weapon that's supposed to kill gods, and the gods can't really defend themselves from this type of weapon. And I will say this. One of the things that I did like, or at least, okay, not necessarily liked, but I was mixed on, was the idea of the sword corrupting Gorr. Almost trying to make it feel as if he is more, not necessarily a villain, but anti-hero-esque than an actual villain, and in some cases, maybe even should have been a bit more ruthless in his killings throughout the film. But, like, and again, Zeus, we gotta talk about Zeus. You know, I think, Joe, you should talk about Zeus.
Oh, man. Like I said, I love what they did with him. It kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really know, like, how they were going to handle him or, like, what direction he was going to go in after watching that first trailer with seeing Russell Crowe as Zeus. It kind of made it seem like he'd be like this, you know, it kind of felt like he'd be like this throwaway, bumbling comedic character, but no, he ends up being just a bit more like what his character ends up really symbolizing, again, like, you know, the never meet your heroes thing. And I was surprised how he turned out to be. He went from this self-indulgent, really pompous ass, right? Like, you know, a stereotypical pompous god to this antagonistic force. I'm like, oh shit, like he's working against Thor. And now, like in future installments, him and Hercules versus Thor. Oh my god. That I didn't see coming. That I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of Russell Crowe as Zeus, and I want to see like what they do with Hercules. I want to see how he basically, you know, dukes it out with Thor. This is going to be, like, I'm looking forward to that. Despite, like, my lukewarm overall feeling about Thor Love and Thunder, this gave me more to look forward to.
Yeah, well, like, and that's what the MCU does. It's like, there's more to look forward to, even if this movie was shit. And I'm not saying it was, but there are definitely moments wasn't too fond of. Another thing I did like was, and now we're in spoilers, Jane's death. I liked it.
Yeah, she went out like a hero.
She went out as a hero. I liked. And another thing, Gorr. I liked the decision he made in the end, and I liked what transpired afterwards, where essentially throughout the film he's trying to find eternity, which if us comic book nerds, we know that's a serious deal. And basically, it's essentially a wishing well where you're granted the wish to make anything you want almost come to life. And throughout the film, at least Thor is thinking, oh, he wants to wish the gods away. No! He wants his daughter back. And one line in the end that I thought was beautiful was when Gorr was talking about how, like, if I bring her back, she's not going to have anyone. Nobody's going to look after her. And Jane is like, basically tells Gorr, no, there will be someone. You know, because we see throughout the flashbacks that Thor wanted a kid. So, and I really liked that ending and how it all kind of just came together for the sake of, like, the narrative they were trying to tell. And that essentially Thor takes care of Gorr's daughter. Which, and I love that dynamic in the end. It's great seeing Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter in the movie. Like, you can tell, like, that energy was really there. So, yeah. I did want to compliment that whole thing, too.
And again, like, going back to what I was saying before in the non-spoiler section about, like, you know, we see what motivates Thor, right? You know, it's love, and he finds love in a different form. And we keep thinking throughout the film that, like, oh, he's going to find that love and finally being with Jane. But she dies. So, but, like, he finds that in the form of having this new daughter, really, to look out for.
Yeah,
which I thought, honestly, I thought that was well done. I like that a lot. This goes more, and again, like the fact that Thor, 4 movies in, finally got some more growth. And he went in a direction that I, quite frankly, didn't expect. Because I don't remember, and again, like, maybe you know this better than me, but I don't remember Thor mentioning that he wanted a kid. Really? Okay.
Yep, in the montages that I think he was talking, or I think it was Corey's voiceover mentioning that he wanted a kid, or he wanted to at least start a family, to a certain degree. So,
actually,
okay.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you something. Do you feel as if Corey's voiceover throughout the film took away from the emotional beats?
1,000%. 1,000% I do. And honestly, even Korg, I feel like Korg was very disappointing in this movie too. He was hilarious in Thor Ragnarok. He was nothing more than just like mostly unfunny comedic riff to take away, really distract from like the emotion that should have been there.
Okay, yep. Okay, so I'm in the same boat, because that's how I felt too, because I'm like, throughout the movie, stop talking! I don't want to hear this voiceover!
So it's just crazy how, and they're in so many regards, like this movie was, at least in my opinion, an upgrade from Ragnarok and a downgrade from Ragnarok. It's kind of weird. I mean, I think overall, I like this one just a bit more than Ragnarok, because again, I feel like there were just like more attempts with certain things than Ragnarok. And again, some of the attempts land and some of them don't. So at least as much as I have a lot to say about this movie, both good and bad, this is my favorite Thor. Because Thor, I feel like, all right, it started things off, but I'm like, I don't feel like it's aged as well. I feel like it's a bit melodramatic, looks a little bit cheesy. Thor, Dark World, who cares? Thor, Ragnarok, again, great time, certain emotional lackings. And then now this one. So
I think for me, if I had to give a rating, Thor 1 is still my favorite. Love and Thunder is right after.
Yeah.
Then Dark World. Then Ragnarok, because I really did not like Ragnarok.
No, I had a great time watching Ragnarok. But again, looking back at certain things, you're like, certain things should have been done differently. Yeah. But so, again, we didn't direct the film.
Yeah. So, I think a contrasting thing for me, at least, when it came to Ragnarok and Love and Thunder was, for me, and this is specifically me, I know a bit of the mythology of Ragnarok and how serious it was. So that's why I'm really against that movie. Whereas with Love and Thunder, it's not based on, a mythological event or anything like that. It's based off the Mighty Thor comics, where we're introduced to Jane Foster. She has cancer, picks up the hammer because the hammer was talking to her, and Gorr the God Butcher basically going after all the gods. And that's what this was based off. So I give it a bit more credit to this, to be a bit more lenient in the dramatic and sort of comedic elements, but I still I'm not going to excuse it for really the transitioning of comedy to drama and how inconsistent it was throughout the movie. So. Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. So, a lot of thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder, and again, we would love to hear some of yours as well. Is it better or worse than Ragnarok or any of the other Thor films? Please, for the love of God, see what I did there? Leave your thoughts wherever it is
Damn it.
that you can. And if you like this review, both the non-spoiler and spoiler section, please, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to get all notifications for more just like it.